Welcome into One Resource Floating, the 86 here. I am joined by. Who am I
The
joined by?
voice.
The Voice, who normally haunts Kayla's house, but Kayla's not here. The Voice has decided to in, infect the internet. I don't know.
Yeah, I can exist on the digital plane. That's accurate.
It's a digital voice, actually. This isn't the analog one that we're used to. This is taking on a new form. Um,
Pretty much.
Yeah, something like that. But hey, we got some new exciting information that we were talking about and that we have looked at. So, late last night, I'm going to try to put this up on Friday. Late last night, we got some spoilers for
Dynasty.
Dynasty. Yep. So, we got some information on
Supplemental
the,
set number 3.
yes, the third supplemental set. And this will be going into how many sets total? So, we had three,
We'd be going into 8 sets now.
eight. This is the eighth set, third supplemental set, and we got our first taste. We had some information we saw about the Emperor. We finally got some information about him. We got his lore, and we learned a couple of new names. But let's break that down, and then we'll get into everything else.
Sounds good.
So first thing we'll do is we'll talk about the Emperor himself. You guys probably saw this card a little bit during Pro Tour. I think it was teased.
They did, yeah, Lil. James White himself actually got involved in the teaser, and they were just giggling and laughing. So everyone at first was like, it's a joke. It's not a joke.
That's it. And it is interesting because his action. So there's a couple things with him. First off, seeing his card, we can see everything now. Was there anything that what stuck out to you first about his
I
card?
mean, the fact that he has 4 talents, like he has 2 hero classes and 2 talents at the same time. He is Royal, brand new, Draconic, new to Uprising, Warrior Wizard, but they're like, oh, let's give him 15 hit points because he's going to be too busted. Hold up. His action and condition are just kind of insane. Um, only red cards in your deck. And for 3, which means 3 cards from hand, as an action, search your deck for Command and Conquer, attack with it, then shuffle. So it basically allows you to pay 1 more than normal for Command and Conquer and just attack for it on will. But it just leads me to feel like there's going to be a lot of setup or other kinds of resource manipulation, or we're going to have to see a lot more uh, Dynasty cards to make that make any sense, let alone is he going to be more wizard? Is he going to get support for warrior stuff? Like we know he's got a weapon, and if you look through his lore story, it seems to be a sword. In the promotional art to describe that he is dual class, though, there is a staff and a sword, so there may also be a more wizard style weapon for him to wield, or his weapon will do both. Because why not?
I do remember in the Icelander lore, long ago. I know his image first came out, and it first happened with the Worlds promo. I think just showing had a
It's just
picture of the
fake.
Emperor there, and everyone saw it, and was like, yeah, he looks like he's going to be a warrior. And I remember Icelander's lore when it came out. I was like, I thought the Emperor was a wizard, but that could have been an Emperor at a different time. I wasn't too sure about it, but it looks
Well,
like
if you look at the art for Command and Conquer,
yep.
it is one of the previous emperors, probably his father, if we're going to just say that the lore is all connected. The background art in Command and Conquer is a river of lava in a valley with troops lined up outside of it for a fortress and a dude giving commands, um,
Pointing.
wearing flame scale armor. The flame scale furnace that came out in Uprising. It's not exactly the same, but there's enough similarities in those 2 cards' art for me to really believe that that's probably either a general in the Volkai army or the Emperor himself, his dad.
Yeah, I wasn't even like thinking about it being draconic armor until like right when you said that. I looked at it and I was like, oh, you know what? It kind of is. And then I was just like look back and I was like, it is, it is pretty much a flame scale furnace. Like
Yeah, like
that's
maybe a
what's
predecessor to the current one, but very darn similar. It's not quite as spiky and, you know, brutal looking, but it's literally full of red, undulating molten flames. I mean,
I wonder if like thinking back, like this has all been very cohesive or
pre-planned,
congruent.
right?
Yeah,
How much of this has been blueprint, road mapped out? We know that one of the first heroes that was ever built was Chain, and he didn't come out until the fourth set, third draftable set in Monarch. So I'm always curious and like looking for these tiny little like, oh, that's just like a variant art style of the same card from 5 sets ago, 6 sets ago. So I would not be surprised if there is some intention in that. Yeah. The person holding the scroll that we've all been staring at in Command and Conquer, we might now have a name for that person. That could be Chancellor Yama
um,
in
I'll pause real quick before going to the people we read about in lore, and just going about the emperor. The first thing the thing I noticed the most about him, real quick before we move on, is that he's our first legendary hero.
That's true. Yes, he has that little orange L, and he is also the first card in the set. So yeah,
But it doesn't look like because he has a surname, whatever you want to call that, but it doesn't look like he'll have an adult form, which is
right, because
interesting.
he has the comma whatever,
Yeah.
like Bravo, comma Showstopper, Katsu, comma the Wanderer. Their adult form, their highest health form, typically has that. Like right now, that's only reserved for Valda, Kasai, Kaio, and Data Doll. Correct me if I'm wrong.
But we could
Benji. I always
Benji.
forget Benji, even though I play him.
We could actually see. I'm just throwing this out. This is probably not a thing, but like in the future, like emperor, like Drakai of Volcor or something. Like, I don't know, but like I wonder about another title essentially coming out because it sounds like we may get like in that lore that they kind of tease Super Saiyan Dorinthia.
Right, that's true. We do have the Battle of Glistening Dory, more or less, when she's fighting the Monastery and just, like you said, goes basically Super Saiyan. Yeah.
That was the big thing I noticed, and then going on, we'll talk about some more cards that were released or talked about as well. But going on to the lore, I think there were a couple people you noted that we might see, and you talked about one in Command and Conquer.
Yeah, so in his actual like lore story, right? Like each of these heroes is starting to get more narrative support by the Legend Story Studios. And if you read through the Emperor's story tab, when it talks about how he came to become the Emperor and how he, got to be ready to go back to battle himself again, there's a few names that pop up that I feel are left deliberately in there. The first is Chancellor Yama. His section talks about how he was at the Emperor's coronation and was kind of a mentor to the Emperor when he was still a princeling. So if there is a mentor or a blitz deck or something like that that has that kind of card in it again, we might see Chancellor Yama as that. Then scrolling further down a few paragraphs below, you get two almost back to back. Um, the primary theory, I think, is Draconic Wizard with the name of Zathari, spelled with an X, as he is Zathari, the Fire Seer. And then Yoji, which I would love if it was Draconic Guardian or even Shadow Warrior. There's some art floating around of a large draconic looking, Volkai looking, almost Oni shinobi with a glaive. Any of the people who are familiar with the Ballad of the Three Kingdoms, ancient Chinese war lore, he looks very much like one of the names Guan Yu from that, but just red, draconic and stuff. And his name is Yoji. Um, and I wouldn't be surprised if one, two, or maybe even all three of these find their place as like maybe a majestic hero or a mentor, or they're just in card art with like flavored text and things like that. Because Legend Story Studios has been pretty, um, I would say, both tongue in cheek and transparent at the same time. We're like, yeah, if we use a name, it's for a reason. You're gonna see it.
So going back on the mentor comment, I was just thinking about this. Mentors in the past, like Minerva, only came in the Blitz deck, but she
So
was a majestic.
yes,
So it
mentors have been majestics.
so it could technically fit into one of the majestic spots for.
Right. And that's something that you and I spoke about a little bit is there's 51 majestics in this supplemental set. I have the sneaking suspicion that that means we are going to get 17 categories with 3 majestics. And what I'm thinking is there are 10 constructed level hero classes. The first 4 from Wraith, the next 4 from Arcane Rising. Then we added Illusionist, and then we why am I drawing a blank?
Mechanology? No. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Evolution. What are
We got 4, 4, 1, and then we have the 4 elements.
Dracon?
The 3 that
Draconic
we got from
being the
Aria plus
Fireborn.
Draconic. Right. Merchant is the other one that I think may finally be getting support. That's why I couldn't think of it, because it's so niche. But at this point, we have 2 merchants. And if they're not going to do merchant, then maybe they're just going to double dip on generics, and you'll get 6 generic majestics. Because you do have heroes like Shiana, like Yorick, like people that are going to be played maybe in UPF or this new PvE that they keep talking about. But if you have 17 categories, that means there's 3 majestics apiece. If you have 16, maybe, like I said, you double dip and go 6 majestics in the generic pool, and then everything else gets 3. But we have, I guess, what, that's 9 core, and then 4 specialization, talent, element, and then shadow and light. So
The I
I'd
am
be
like
curious.
tentative. Like, do you think there'll be like class support for every set in this one, or do you think it's going to be Dramai, Fi, and Icelander focused?
I feel like with their supplemental sets, the 2 that we have to look at, it's been whole shebang, right? Like there was a card for everybody every time,
But they
right?
did
Like Crystal,
say it's an expansion booster set that takes you inside the Imperial Palace of Volcor.
yeah, it takes you inside the Imperial Palace. So maybe that 17th category that I wasn't thinking of is maybe that's Royal, right? Like they've shown their hand that Royal is now a talent like Shadow and Light. Um, and there's talk about like the vault, so maybe if we do get 3 majestics per category, one of them could be a weapon. As a lifetime ninja player, I would love a majestic ninja weapon that might be functional. Um, you know, Oldham has Winter's Wail, and like some of these other, Dawnblade was or Duskblade was so good it got banned. Like all these other classes get these majestic weapons, and I'm just sitting there like maybe one day.
So it
But
does say on the the page. It's like Dynasty is designed to expand constructed play with new support for. Oh, no, never mind. I was wrong. So Dynasty is designed to expand constructed play with new support for all existing classes.
See?
And then it goes on to say the introduction, not the introduction of a brand new class and relics of war, a collection of Marvel weapons and equipment to proudly display in your own trophy room. So they did talk about, I think before, I can't remember if it was lore or what, but they talked about the war room or the
Right.
armory of the palace and all the weapons that had been sitting in there. So
Yeah, so and we know one of the relics of war. It is the Imperial Warhorn, I think is what it's called. It's the one that
yes,
if you're a royal, you get a benefit from it, but otherwise it's kind of a neat effect.
it's kind of a sideboard against dash players. Pour one out for my
I mean,
homies.
it's not even bad against a lot, right? Like,
Yeah, because you can get auras. So
yeah,
if you're fighting a Lexi or an Oldhim, they're like, oh, Channel Lake's gonna hit. That's fine. I'll just sit this Imperial Horn out, or
yeah.
even
And
dash for Channel Melt or not dash. Briar.
Briar, Channel Mount, right? And then it also hits allies, so like Dromai is not
Yeah.
safe. Um, and then for like the one person in the planet that plays Corsham, I mean, goodbye Corsham, I guess. I don't think anybody's going to be playing Library in Constructed anytime soon.
You only have Bolton left. I've been trying to figure that out, but that's for another time.
Yeah, that's conversation for another time. I think there's a way to do it, but I don't know if it's worth it. It would just make him such a weird hybrid.
The Warhorn is interesting because the action is one resource, but to play the item, so it's not go again. So that has to be your last thing you're doing that turn, and then it costs 2 to play it, and then so it's essentially going to cost you 3 resources to get it off.
Yep.
Oh man!
And
It's an
if you think
action. It's
about
not
the
even.
Emperor himself, he only has reds, so you're pitching 2 cards to play that 1 card,
Oh,
and
even the
then maybe
action doesn't have go again.
nope, no, it
Oh
does not.
man!
Again, like until we see his sword that has the like magma, what was it? Magma lion hair held by silver threads. Um, until we see what his sword does, because I would not be surprised if his sword has either modes or like once per turn choose one of the following. Your first non-attack action gains go again. Your first attack action gains go again. Or the first effect you activate this turn, do it as an instant. Like, I would not be surprised if as a warrior wizard he has some kind of flexible weapon. Because his ability is very straightforward. Slap people with Command and Conquer. Like, you can't get more basic than that. Okay,
And
I
it's
got it. I'm
interesting
gonna
that
put
it
it.
says attack and not play. So you pitch 3 and you're not playing the Command and Conquer. You're attacking with it.
Right. There's no priority window. Like, it resolves and is attacking.
Well, there's a window of you play the ability, but yeah, it's an
Yeah.
action to play the ability.
Right.
But yeah.
So I have activated the ability. Well, and that's also the kind of thing, though, where like, do they get a priority?
Oh, you know what's also kind of weird if you do Command and Conquer, you haven't played a red card this turn, so you can't pitch to the furnace. So you'd have to do something else first, and then pitch to the furnace for Command and Conquer.
Red sigil, baby.
But you don't have anything to pitch.
Red sigil was an arsenal, man.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. We got one other card. Well, we got 2 cards spoiled. There's a token we'll talk about in a minute, but we don't have much to say about it. But there is a new card, the Crown of Dominion, which was also spoiled.
Generic, generic head equipment with no block value. Like not even a 0, just none.
And it looks like it's going to be one of the marvels for the set. Since there's
Yes,
a.
definitely confirmed as a Marvel.
Um,
But gives you 1 gold a game.
and your hero is royal. So you can essentially, they're introducing, like, you can give someone another class.
A
So I
talent.
can, yeah, I can make a royal dash
Yeah,
in charge of
that would
everything.
be. I mean, it's not the dumbest thing because like Imperial Warhorn is an item and Dash uses a lot of items, but it's not mechanologist. It's just
Yeah.
generic. Like
Um,
honestly, that Crown of Dominion feels almost like a Shiana thing.
it might be, yeah, I guess yeah.
She can wear it,
When Shiana finally has her day. But yeah,
and then
there's
she
not,
becomes royal in addition to everything else that she's shapeshifting.
yeah, there's not much to write home about with the crown except for that it sets the precedent that we can give classes to people.
Yeah, and I do definitely think that as these teasers pop up, we're gonna see more of royal. I would be shocked
But
if
yeah,
this set just like has 3 or 4 cards with royal. Like I think we're gonna see a bunch.
I agree. And the token, we finally got it coming through. After all this time, merchant players rejoice. You finally have your gold token.
I was like merchant and
So
cash
we are
in
now waiting
players.
for gold. We got silver palms. We were talking about copper boots. I forget what we said gold was.
Oh yeah, it
Gold,
was silver palms, copper boots, and golden heart or whatever.
golden heart.
But
Okay.
we were wrong. It's the head. Crown of Dominion gives you gold.
Okay.
Just one though. Just one.
That's right.
But yeah, no, we weren't too far off.
So the only
It,
thing that could get better than gold, I wonder if they're going to essentially eventually make platinum, which is action one resource, destroy platinum, draw a card, go again.
yeah,
Since gold is 2 resources.
or they go back to 3 and it's draw 2 cards.
This is the time to buy your cash-ins because everyone will see this.
All those rainbow foil crucible unlimited cash-ins that I've been hoarding unintentionally. About to flood the market with them.
By the way, cash-in got reprinted this set. No, just kidding. Oh, it might. Who knows?
Right?
Yeah, I
It
am wondering
would.
about reprints because it seems like so Command and Conquer was a great Arcane Rising card. Got reprinted in History Pack. But do we expect to see it back now that the Emperor is going to use it? Do we expect to see it back in Dynasty? And I kind of do.
I don't, purely from if you scroll through their images of the like teased cards, all of the new cards have their dynasty card number slot for their collector's number. Flamescale Furnace, which came out from Uprising, has their Uprising number for it, for its collector's number. When you go to Command and Conquer,
It still has the
still
Arcane
uses the
Rising.
Arcane number. So I don't know if that's just like a precedent of the website. Like it's like, oh yeah, we'll use like the first, data file available. Or if that's like a, yep, nope, it's not getting it. There's only one Black Border Command and Conquer, and it's either a European history pack. Okay, there's two, or the Arcane Rising version.
Gotcha.
I don't think we'll see it reprinted. I think they have kind of doubled down on reprints through history packs. Because I don't know. I think history pack has been fairly successful as a set in the sense that they seem to be selling
Yeah.
everywhere I go. Like, there's not a ton of supply, which is not great, but there's never like an abundance and there's never a extended shortage of them.
What's interesting though is that it was kind of released to like control and combat like the price and everything and make cards more available. Some of the history cards I've actually seen doing better than the black border cards, like the original cards.
Sure.
It's like, oh, but it's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I think the final thing worth breaking down is we have the product, the information sheet for everything that we know that we're coming. What date are we coming for Dynasty?
11, 11,
Make a wish.
22. Just a casual 11 years after Skyrim. Not that that's relevant, but it was 11, 11, 11. Now it is 11, 11, 22.
So I did think what's interesting going through here. Well, this is not surprising. It's 10 cards a pack, which is fits the other like Crucible Award,
Standard for
Everfest.
supplement. Yeah.
It's congruent there. One booster box is guaranteed to have a. I should read that again. It says one booster box, one cold foil per booster box, right?
Yes.
So then
That's how I'm reading it.
I need to see. Okay, there it is. I had it up on my page or up here and I buried it. So rarity distribution, cold foil, one per display. So if you get a case, then you get 4 cold foils. Hopefully that works
Probably
out.
commons, but yes, cold foils nonetheless.
All this cold foil calling sleeves make me sad. Rainbow foil, one per pack. So each pack you get out of this 10 cards, there will be a rainbow foil. This is kind of where I thought everything was interesting. So out of 10 cards, you have 7 commons. And then rare or higher, 2 per pack. So 1 rare plus 1 rare or majestic. So that means that going in there, like, you're getting 7 right off the bat. And then, I mean, I don't know what the chances for majestic are in this set coming forward. Like, Uprising was pretty good pulls for most people. I know there was some bad blood there, but a lot of people
No.
got really good pulls.
Yep, I've just been finding all of the boxes that nobody wants.
Sorry.
All of mine.
I'm just kind of curious if we're going to see that coming with a lesser distribution, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the same formula, but that 10th card, right? What's that 10th card? That's the one that makes it different for this booster set.
I thought it was so it's rainbow foil, one per pack, rare or higher, 2 per pack, 1 rare plus 1 majestic, rare or majestic, and then the common 7 per pack. So
Right.
essentially, the 10th card. Well, I don't know what the 10th slot will be, but the 10th card is the rainbow foil. That could be. I guess that could be
Right.
anything.
Well, didn't it say the rainbow foil was rare or higher?
I did not see that. It might say it somewhere,
Okay.
but I did not see that.
I skimmed it, so I'm definitely not the. I was more reading the lore and other stuff.
No specific card, rarity, or type is guaranteed to exist within an individual pack, box, or case. Discover incredible marvels. I don't know.
So there's a really cool on the website. There is the marketing assets for Dynasty,
Yep.
and there's the key art, which is basically is a massive like bitmap file of the throne room.
Throne room.
But like as you zoom in there and like scroll around and look at some stuff, you see some interesting figures. We see somebody in a black robe with gold approaching the throne. And to their left is somebody with a far more ornate headpiece than anybody else. Neither of them seem to be the emperor. It's really hard to tell if the emperor is sitting in the throne or is like somewhere else. Like
I was
the
thinking
throne
that
itself is just so
that is
much
the
going
emperor.
on. It's kind of hard to see, kind of hard to tell.
And the guards look like they have staves. They don't look like they're.
Yeah,
So the guards
no.
would be
So
wizards.
yes, in the lore, wizards are the thing that made the emperor's rule solidified, and then the people bowing are like the warriors. Some of which, the elites that have the red headdress coming out. But it's interesting because some of the warriors have like a spear or some sort of weapon, and then others are just empty-handed. So I don't know if this is supposed to be just like a regular day in the throne room, or if this is supposed to represent like something specific. But there's just a lot of little tiny Easter eggs, I think, in this of like how certain card arts are going to look. And I am curious to see how this whole wizard warrior thing is going to play out and how it's actually going to be playable.
Yeah. And
Because the
so
way the game works now, it's not.
yeah, and like going in, like the other question too is like we have other people that we heard names of, and I'm gonna assume that we would get 4 heroes in this, and maybe one adult hero. Maybe I could be wrong on that. I don't feel like that's
Well, I
really
mean, so in Crucible, right, let's see, you had KO.
Shauna.
Well, I'm trying to think like in order because you had KO for Brute.
Mm-hmm.
There was no Guardian young hero. You had Benji, technically reprint of Ira, but Benji. Um, then you Data Doll and Kasai.
So
We
yeah,
didn't get a new Ranger. We didn't get a new Rune Blade. We didn't get a new
yeah.
Wizard.
After that, it was
Yeah,
Shiana and Cavdine, and that would have been 6 total.
yeah. Shion and Cavdine was 6, but those were kind of like I'll just say they were meme heroes at the time. They're starting to become more and more playable now, but at the time they were definitely 100% meme heroes. Um, and then in Everfest, the other supplement, you saw He Who Shall Not Be Named Living Legend and Valda and
Icelander
Icelander
and
and Genis What You Need.
yeah.
Again, meme hero, but again, becoming more playable every set. Um, Still weird, but maybe one day. So that was 4. So we went from 6 to 4, with only one of them being kind of a joke. And I think I mean, obviously we're getting the Emperor. I think we might get 3 or 4. Yeah. I think 3 is probably what we might see. I just don't know, what the 4th would be. Or we finally see adult Shiana.
Adult Shiana. Shiana didn't have a title, did she?
She did.
Oh, she.
Shiana, the Diamond Gemini.
Oh, that's right.
Diamond Gemini.
Wah, wah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could.
Um,
Yeah, Shiana was definitely she helped out Icelander, right? So yeah, she was in Icelander's lore.
she was in Icelander's lore, and she is, I presume, the person in the lore for Dromai as well. So, like, it is implied loosely that Shiana is traveling to um, the city where the Emperor is for some reason.
Gotcha.
Um, so it's implied that Shiana is traveling to Ashvahan, which is the, dynasty, kingdom, empire of this new Emperor dude. Um, And if somebody like Shiana, a shapeshifter diamond Gemini, is going somewhere, maybe it has something to do with the volcano there,
Maybe.
or the fact that the Acer is a living volcanic sentience in the lava. Because there is in the Emperor's lore, the mountain itself, the lava inside of it, speaks to him and entrances him and like creates these illusions and actually like lures him in deeper and deeper into the mountain. Um, until he basically becomes part, volcanic. He becomes draconic. His blood refuses to boil, and he just becomes one with the mountain and the lava and walks out.
I think
Uh,
there's going to be a lot of things that we kind of see here, like going off lore, and I don't know. There are definitely people that could come in, and it seems like just the land of Volcor right now. We have like we could do another set and stay in Volcor. I would assume like another full set, but I don't think that'll be the case. But it does seem like we have some names here that maybe even will come back in the future because it seems like Icelander is like we have Icelander, Kano, and Kasai all came out in sets not about Volcor, but they were definitely from Volcor.
I mean, so did Viserai.
Yep.
Viserai was one of the uprisingers, same as Phi.
And it's
But
interesting that like I think James White kind of came in and said like people asked about like who are the heroes in the set and who are the villains, like, everybody thought like Chain was the villain. It was like, but Chain was mistreated harshly by
the
Soliana.
librarian and
Yeah, and they threw
the
him as
library of Fauna.
they threw what's it, his family or him. I think it was his family, wasn't it? They like threw him all out and like cast him out,
Yeah.
and then and you see this like him coming up and like going to war with Soliana, but like he like had that background to see like what they would do and what they were capable of and the cruelty they were, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, really the only neutral parties so far, like truly like not hero nor villain, has been Reinar and Katsu. Like they've been just like, yep, we're just here. I mean, maybe Dash as well, as far as like the big
Yeah,
heroes.
I think Lexi as well, because Lexi just kind of went off like she was kind of the protector and like of her town or whatever, and then she just went off like
I
went to
mean, she's like a
explore.
folk hero in that
Yeah,
sense.
I guess. Yeah, I'm a
But like
Lexi
in
fan.
Katsu's lore, he's just like, yep, I just wander around because like I'm trying to fight people and get stronger. And Reinar's like, I smash things. And Dash likes to make inventions. But all the other people are either like kind of good or kind of bad.
Gotcha.
Like Dory, Girl Scout, Peggy Carter in Flesh and Blood. She's just always doing the right thing, even if it hurts and sucks. Um, Bravo, he's here. He's star of the show, like showstopper. Like he's a good guy. He might be an ass, but he's a good guy. Uh, but yeah, Kano. I think we might learn a lot about Kano, and like maybe he is a good guy that didn't used to be one. Like some Han Solo kind of stuff. Like stole the secrets of Volcor and is using that like wizardry for different purposes. We could find out that like Kano might have been exiled from Volcor and like is disgraced, and he was one of the wizards and under the Emperor and then left or something.
Could be a lot of things coming out. I think I am going to wrap it up there, unless you have anything that you want to add.
No, I mean it's gonna be an interesting. What is it? 9 weeks
Yeah,
or so.
it's gonna be wild. Buckle up.
Buckle up, Buttercup. It's a bumpy ride.
Yep. All right. Um, this has been The Voice, who I'm very
Yep.
thankful to have on, Miss The Voice, and the 86. Um, and thank you guys for watching. We'll see you later.
Bye.